Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening to learn about the Washington Grove Connector Project. I hope everybody has had an enjoyable day. Here with us this evening is Ms. Rebecca Park, who is the project manager, as well as Moyasser Mohammed, who is our talented consultant. All right, before we get started, we're going to go over some Zoom instructions just for those who are not familiar. Please note this evening's meeting is being recorded. The recording will be available tomorrow by 5 p.m. on the project's website. Everyone is on mute this evening. If you cannot unmute yourself, we can unmute you during the question and answer period. However, since this is a hybrid meeting and Ms. Park is on site, please submit your questions via the chat to me so that she will be able to answer them during the question and answer session. Your video camera is off by default this evening. To reduce the bandwidth of the meeting, we request that you please do not turn on your video camera. And now I would like to introduce Ms. Rebecca Park.
Thank you, Lori. Good evening, everyone. Please note that tonight's presentation is only for the bike trail portion of the project. The roadway extension portion is still in the planning stage. Once we have the second briefing to the planning board, then the roadway portion of the project may proceed to its 15% design and public meeting. That said, here is the outline of tonight's presentation. Mr. Moyasser Mohammed of Shalaria will walk you through the 15% design of the bike trail in details. Then I will brief you on the construction cost estimate, followed by permitting and project schedule. Then we'll take questions and comments at the end. So now I'll turn it over to Moyasser for the 15% design for the bike trail.
Thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate you. Good evening, everyone. This is Moyasser Mohammed, civil engineer in Shalaria Associates, the project designer and engineer of record for Krabs Branch Washington Grove Connector Project. And as Rebecca explained, this is the 15% design, and we have here like two concepts. One going from Krabs Branch to Brown Street. As you can see, it's highlighted yellow in the slides here. And that for bike only, the road is not included. And here you can see at the bottom, there's two cross section that shows you the 10 feet wide trail, bike and pedestrian. And to the side, there is 2 feet of buffer. So the total width of the trail is 14 feet. The trail gonna have kind of traditional hot mix asphalt pavement with cross slope, and combined with porous asphalt that's with under drain piping for the stormwater management concept, preliminary concept that we're gonna evolve and develop. Next slide, please. As you can see here, this is the site plan for the Krabs Branch Trail from Krabs to Brown, and that portion is Brown from the center of Krabs Branch to the end of Brown Street. And in the top, you see the trail center line with alignment and the kind of grading to the side, left and right slides as slope. And at the bottom, that's the profile where it shows the majority of that portion of the trail is filled. So we're filling like 5 feet. And when it comes to Brown, there's a cut, like a short portion of cutting, like a 3 feet. So we can have a level and kind of well sloped and smooth trail. Next slide, please. This is the second concept, which is the full design, the full kind of trail from Krabs Branch all the way to Amity, including Brown, and it's also highlighted yellow. This is for trail only, and will kind of, as you can see at the bottom, that it's still same width, 14 feet wide trail zone, 10 asphalt pavement, and 2 in each side as just like empty landed or like gravel. We're gonna have asphalt pavement with hot mix part of the trail, and the next part will be like porous asphalt with under drain. At this point, we still did not designate which one will be hot mix or which one would be just porous asphalt until we come up with our stormwater concept. Next slide, please, Lori. Thanks. Next slide, Lori. Thank you. Here, this is the beginning of Crabs Branch. We can see where the trail started. There's a different in terrain, as you can see in the profile, and we passing over a ravine and storm and ravine. So in this, we're gonna have to build a box culvert, a culvert with pipes, with head walls at the north and south. So we're gonna need to fill a 15 feet of fill to maintain a smooth transition. And we, in our planning, we need to have a balanced site as much as possible. So where we cutting in the beginning here, we're filling, we're gonna reuse the material that we're gonna cut. When we go to the next slide, you see where we're gonna cut more. But that would have a balanced site. As Lori, yeah, goes next slide, that's fine. Oh, yes. Here, the mid portion, this is the fill become less, but we still also have another ravine or water kind of storm drain system. We're gonna have to build a same concept, one pipe with 2 head walls, and we'll fill this area 7 feet of fill. Next slide. Here, where we're gonna have the cut that I mentioned earlier, this area of the site is high terrain, so we're gonna have 7 to 8 feet of cut. That cut material, based on the geotechnical report we've done, is a good material that we could use or reuse. It's SM and GP material that's will spread on site and reuse. Next slide. This is the end of the portion of Crabs to Amity, and here also another third and last ravine where the water will have to seep through. We're gonna put also a third head walls pair, and we're gonna have 1 pipe under the trail. And here the fill is 7 to 10 feet of fill in this area. And the majority of the site, we maintain a slope of 3 horizontal, 1 vertical at max. So it's gonna have like a smooth transition from the trail through the natural ground at these areas. Next slide, please. This portion of the trail in Pekia view is part of both concepts. It's gonna be just the small crossing on Pekia View Court, and that's part of, as I said, Crabs to Brown or Crabs to Amity. Next slide. Back to Rebecca. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Moyasser. So here's the construction cost estimate for the bike trails. The construction cost estimate for the bike trail from Crabs Branch Way to Amity Drive is approximately $3 million, but the portion for Brown Street will cost only around $1 million. Next slide, please. Prior to tonight's presentation, we received a request from the community asking us to clarify the permitting aspect of the project. So I would like to briefly touch upon that. Prior to completion of 35% design, we will have the stormwater management concept reviewed by DPS. We'll also going to have an NRFSD reviewed and approved by Park and Planning. Because the project impacts the parks property, this will have to go through the parks concept review as well. In addition to that, just like any other CIPs we have in the county, the project will go through mandatory referral process over at Park and Planning. Prior to completion of final design, we will obtain the sediment control permit from DPS and parks construction permit from Park and Planning. Next slide, please. So here's the project schedule. A couple of months ago, we finished the 15% concept design. The next major milestone activity for the project is mandatory referral, and we'll anticipate that will take in summer this year. Then we anticipate completing the preliminary design of Brown Street connection by fall this year, and we anticipate the design duration for the Brown Street connection would take about a year. So we should be able to finish the final design for Brown Street connection by fall 2024. Then we will acquire easements for right-of-way clear for Brown Street connection, and that should end in summer 2025. In terms of construction, construction is pending upon availability of funding. So if funding is available, then we will be able to start the construction for Brown Street connection in fall 2025 and ending it in spring 2026. Next slide, please. For any questions and comments after tonight's meeting, please send me an email at rebecca.park@montgomerycountymd.gov. For presentation slides and recording of tonight's meeting will be available on the project website by 5 o'clock on Friday, April 14th. So that's it. And I will try to answer them. I'll try to answer them as best as I can before the end of this meeting. I will repeat this. For those of you joining in virtually, please type in your questions via chat, and I will try to answer them all as best as I can before the end of the meeting. But for those of you joining in person, you may ask questions now. Thank you.